Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Rambles, my morning talk show like YouTube series where I just talk about news and other stuff in general, just stuff. So, specifically today, I'm going to change up the format. Whoa, new format change again. I love those format changes, but okay, I'm going to put this out here actually. Let's start this episode with a bang. My ideals on YouTube is I like to have a good time. That's where I edit all of my videos. That's why this kind of like, sometimes the structure seems like it changes between episodes. And that's just because my ideology on YouTube and how it works, to me, I just want to have a good time so that you have a good time. So everybody's happy and everybody has a good time. That's all. That's really what I'm about. I'm about the good times. So, got my coffee back. It's very good today. That was my little YouTube tangent. So, I believe in having a good time. That's why some changes are going to be coming to the channel and you'll be getting more stuff. And it's going to be cool. So, on with the show. Today we're going to change up the format. I'm going to talk about Rick and Morty. I'm just going to talk about the show Rick and Morty, the whole episode, the whole ramble. It's something I've been thinking about doing. I thought about doing reviews of Rick and Morty, but I'm just going to do one big this is it ramble. One big thing about Mick and Morty. I can't speak today, that's what you're learning from this video. But one big video all about Rick and Morty. So, I'm going to talk about some of my favorite moments from the show. It's, general facts about the show for anyone who maybe doesn't know about Rick and Morty. But I'll tell that and some of my favorite moments. And, of course, I'm going to talk about the Season 2 finale that every Rick and Morty fan has on their mind. So, without further ado, wubba dub dub! Oh, that was the most ridiculous thing I've ever done. For anyone not in the know, Rick and Morty is an animated television series created by Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon for Adult Swim. Basically, it's the sci-fi misadventures of an alcoholic scientist named Rick and his grandson Morty. That's pretty much it. That's the simplest way that I can sum up the show to you in an instant. So in the pilot, Rick suddenly moves back in with his daughter Beth's family. Just no one really knows. The show doesn't explain where he was. There's theories. There's particular theories that pop up that, like now, it's like perhaps he was just doing his freedom fighting stuff that we'll get to later in the video, basically. But he moves back in with his family. So in said family is Beth's husband Jerry, their daughter Summer, and of course Morty. Rick and Morty. Morty would have to be in there somewhere. You can drink some more coffee. Another key aspect of the show is that I make eye contact during all coffee segments, so that you get the maximum coffeetudiness. It's like fried my brain then. My brain was just drowned in coffee. Nice. The show is often praised for its witty, sometimes dark humor. It's constantly mixed with more emotional, real type storylines. Like, Jerry and Beth's relationship is always in question. Is their marriage a good thing? Is their marriage a bad thing? Are they getting along? Are they not getting along? That's constantly fluctuating throughout the show. And, the whole family just has problems with each other time to time that they have to deal with. And that's one of the things that people like about the show. Jerry doesn't have a job. Things like that. Deals with all these real things as well. So, I think that's definitely one of the things I really like. I also like just all the crazy things they do, all the crazy comedy bits. I love them. I'm actually gonna be out of coffee. This is blowing my mind right now. Blowing my mind how quickly I'm going through coffee. I like how I'm just like, I stray from it every time. Every time I drink coffee, I just stop thinking for a second. Every time I take a sip, I'm just like out. I'm in a different reality. And then immediately I just jump back into my Rick and Morty episode. It's like an out-of-body experience every time I drink this. I'm just going to finish this coffee now. Okay. Coffee's done. No more coffee. Coffee's done. The show isn't afraid to get dark. You know, like with its humor. Obviously, it's not. It's on Adult Swim for a reason. It does darker things time to time. Killing becomes more frequent in various episodes. But I think that's what works to its advantage too. Is that like it's so cleverly written. The characters are so cleverly made. And it's just dark enough to give it like that shock humor that's still good. That doesn't, it's not sour. And so that's one of the things I like. Like, Rick is a genius. He always says what he's thinking. You know, Morty, they point out, is maybe a bit slow. But, you know, there's those theories. There's theories out there that, like, Morty is going to become Rick. Like, I definitely think that he's learning from Rick and that he's changing as a character, but I don't think he's going to become Rick. And that's basically, you know, the basis for the show. That's as good of a description as I can give for those who maybe don't know anything about Rick and Morty. But now I'm just going to take some time to talk about some of the better, my favorite moments that the show has done in season 1 and season 2. Those are the 2 seasons of the show. There's going to be a 3rd season, but no one really knows when that 3rd season is coming out because 1, they're still making it. 2, they've said 1.5 years or more, but from the 1st season to the 2nd season, it took 1.5 years. So, you know, there's definitely the idea that they could very much be joking about that. And I have a feeling that they are partially joking about that. But whether or not it turns out to be that long, we will see. I bet you it won't turn out that long. And I'll be happy if it doesn't, because it is a really good show. And I really like watching, you know, it was really the only show that I had to tune in and watch as it aired, because I like it that much. So, it says a lot about it. Some of my favorite moments, you know, there's so many sci-fi elements that they do so well. All the dimension jumping. There's too many moments to talk about. You know, the whole Meeseeks box, which basically the Meeseeks box lets you hit a button. It summons this like otherworldly being or creates them. I don't know how it works, but I guess you could say it creates them. But it's like a little blue guy called a Meeseeks, and you give the Meeseeks a simple task to help you with. Then it does its task and then kind of poofs away, and it's out of existence. It's technically dead, but it's just like its existence is over. As the Meeseeks point out in that episode where they're forced to, basically Jerry is an idiot, and that's another theme of the show. Jerry is an idiot and tells the Meeseeks to help him take a couple strokes off his golf game. They can't do it because Jerry's is so hopeless. So one Meeseeks picks up the Meeseeks box, hits the button, and calls out another Meeseeks. That goes on until there's like 50 Meeseeks. And Meeseeks can't die. They can't kill themselves. But the only way for them as they point out in the episode so eloquently. Like, existence is pain for Meeseeks. They don't normally exist for more than like an hour. So then they decide, let's kill Jerry. And they manage to pull it off and save the day, of course. But Meeseeks, people really like them, even though they're really annoying. They have that really annoying voice. But really high pitched. But hey, people like them. I don't hate them. I like the episode. I thought they were memorable enough. And it's been said, I think Dan Harmon said it. I think he said it in an interview. I might be wrong. Maybe it was Justin. I'm not sure. But Justin Roiland. But one of them said that they're going to try and force Meeseeks into an episode in an interview. So that's good. I love the way that they go about things too. That they just don't care. They're like, force him in. I like it. And other moments of the show, they end up... Morty wants people to like him, wants a girl to like him, so he asks Rick to make him a love potion, essentially. And Rick mixes together all these DNAs, gives it to Morty, but then it ends up combining with the flu that everyone has, because he didn't realize that it was the flu season. So, or cold, I can't remember. It's one of those things. But basically, it combines with it, spreads through the air, and then everyone is in love with Morty, so they keep trying to fix it by adding new things and adding new DNAs to it. But then Rick's like, okay, this will solve it. This will stop it. But he adds the DNA of, I can't remember what it is, but it's something that's now they not only want to love him, they also want to then kill him and eat him. That doesn't help at all. Then Rick is like, okay, the last one, this will work. This will neutralize it all. And then it just turns everyone into horrible monsters. Horribly mutates everyone. And then they're like, okay. And they find then Rick is able to find another dimension where just the whole show is based off that other dimension concept. They find another dimension where Rick somehow did fix it. And then, explodes in his garage lab at that exact moment. So then our Rick and Morty from our dimension, which is C-137, I think. I could be totally wrong. But I don't remember numbers. But basically, they show up and they bury those bodies in the ground behind the garage. And they just take place because that world is exactly the same, except that they would have died at that exact moment. So they were able to come in and assume that place in reality. So, well, the whole show is weird and witty like that. But, other episodes, Rick in the season finale of the first season, Rick freezes time. I like that one. He freezes time so that they have enough time until the next season 2 opener, where they unfreeze time. And then that was season 2 opener is a really clever episode because they split reality into two timelines. So it's the whole thing is a find the difference. I'm sure that if I watched it enough times, I could still find different things that I totally missed between the worlds. Things happen opposite, and they have to be connected to sync the timelines. So they all have to be thinking the same thing, and so they're never thinking the same thing. And then it goes from having 2, 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom, to having 4. It just gets crazy. other good things, really emotional episodes. There's one in season 2, everybody knows, the one with the parasites that can only create good memories, but they end up creating like so many characters in the house that they don't know anything. And in fact, the best thing is that like they even say like, okay, we have to remember, Rick says, we have to remember it's the only ones of us here are Rick, Morty, Jerry, Summer, Beth, and Mr. Poopy Butthole. Yes, that's his name. That's the name of a character. Mr. Poopy Butthole. They did that for a reason. You'll see why in a moment. I mean, you probably do know, but if you don't know, you'll see why in a moment. It's what I mean by that. So, of course, the viewer is already like, Mr. Poopy Butthole is not a character. What are they doing? That is not a thing. So they go through the whole thing. They keep having these flashbacks that are actually just the parasites trying to take over and multiply. And basically, Morty ends up figuring out, hey, we'll know what ones that we can kill because they can't create bad memories. So anyone that we have a bad memory of is not a parasite. So then they go through and kill them all. And then the only ones left that they can't think of, that they have bad memories with are, of course, the whole family and Mr. Poopy Butthole. So it's like, and Beth realizes that I don't have any negative memories of him. So she pulls out the gun and shoots him. And it turns out that Mr. Poopy Butthole, in reality, has been a character the whole time of the show. They just never showed him. He was... It's the really dark gag of, oh, yeah, he's just been Rick's friend this whole time. We just have never focused on him. So there are people for a long time, for like a week or so, probably more than that, debating on Reddit and stuff, like all over the internet, like about whether Mr. Poopy Butthole, a character called Mr. Poopy Butthole, is a parasite or not, and like this really deep plot line all about Mr. Poopy Butthole. That's one of the things I love about this show. It does that so much, and we did actually get to see Mr. Poopy Butthole again, actually, in the end of the season finale. So I think now is a good time. I think I will talk about I'm going to talk about the season finale. So, spoilers. If you haven't seen the season finale, I'm going to talk about it and the plot. I'm just going to do like a general thing, so won't take too long. But the plot of this is that Bird Person, one of the fan base's more favorite characters, invites Rick and his family to his wedding. So they're like, okay, cool. But then you find out that the girl that he was marrying that had been like a long-standing like line that you never thought of. But you find out that she is like an undercover agent, basically. I'm just going to call them the Space Police because I don't know their actual title. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But the Space Police. And plus, that's way easier to say because that's exactly what they are. Then immediately shoot and kill Bird Person. Rip Bird Person. He was the fandom's favorite character, but now he is dead. There's a character that was like a cat named Squanchy. No one knows what happened to him. He could have died. Who knows? Probably did. Who knows? But they just barely, the family makes it out. It's able to escape. And they ask Rick, when are we going to get to go home? Because this is terrible. And Rick's like, we can never go home because they will be looking for me on Earth. And if they find you on Earth, they will ask you where I am and torture you until you tell me until you tell until you tell them where I am, and you won't know, but they won't believe you. So they can't go back. They cannot go back to Earth. So they have 3 planets they can go to. A tiny planet, which they bump into. Like, well, I expected that to be a little bit bigger. A planet where everything is on a cob. Everything is like corn on the cob. Even like the molecules are on a cob. It's very strange. And so Rick's like, we gotta leave now. Everything's on a cob. But there's also a planet where it's pretty beautiful, but days last 42 hours, and the sun is constantly screaming, like, ah! So they choose the tiny planet. They go there, and Rick overhears Jerry talking about how maybe they should just turn him in. Maybe they can go back. So Rick actually decides, you know what, I'm just going to turn myself in, because that way the Federation or the Space Police will let them go home, and then they can live their lives. And that's a really deep note, even for Rick to do, you know? So, like, for Rick, who constantly calls himself the smartest person in the universe, in the world, he is, you know, like, sacrifices everything. So they get to go back to Earth, and that's how the season ends, is the family returns to Earth, but everything's been taken over by the Space Police. So now it's a very sci-fi world. It's very sci-fi Earth now, you know. So whether or not that'll change, or they'll find some clever way in regards to the like what I said they did in the first season, where they just found a world where they just died at that exact moment and everything worked out. I don't think they'll do that, but only because they even referred, the writers have since said, like, that is a cheap plot device, we don't want to use that. Even in the episode, Rick says, like, we can only do this one time. We can only do this 3 or 4 times max. So, like, obviously they're not going to want to stretch it. They're not going to want to stretch what they got. So, who knows what'll happen, but as of now, the end of the season 2 finale, Rick is in space prison, and the family's back on Earth. Jerry gets a job. Gosh darn it, Jerry. And he's just excited about that. He doesn't even care. But, and, you know, we'll see how emotional things are once the season 3 gets here. So, season 3 is going to be coming out. Who knows? It took 1.5 years to get to the, from 1 to 2, I believe. From season 1 to season 2 was 1.5 years, I think. Or maybe a little bit over that. And they joke at the end, they have Mr. Poopy Butthole come back on, and after the credit scene, and say, like, see you guys in the, how are we going to fix this mess? See you guys in the season 3 opener in 1.5 years or more. So no one knows if they're actually pulling our legs on that one or not. I think they're partially doing it, because I mean, it's still going to feel like it's a long time. But it's certainly, I bet you it's going to be a little bit faster than that. I bet you it'll be like a year. Who knows? We'll find out. So, in conclusion, I really like Rick and Morty. I hope you kind of saw through this rambly episode what I like about Rick and Morty and why I think it's a good show. It's certainly violent, and it's certainly, you know, very, it's not for you if you aren't into, or if you're not into violence and you're not into very dark humor, you're not into vulgarity. A lot of things look, a lot of things in the show, a lot of shapes look like specific other things On purpose, of course. They add those shapes to everything. And so, overall, I love Rick and Morty. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, leave a comment. I hope you enjoyed this. If this is your first time seeing Orion ramble, I have like 3 hours worth of them or something like that. So there's a playlist that you can check out and just watch me ramble forever and never, 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 and never stop. I also have some other videos that just in general anybody can check out. So I'm going to be recording some more videos right after I'm recording this one. So look forward to those. Something different coming up. Thank you again for watching. And I've been Spice Fellow. I've been Ryan, actually. That's my real name. And I will see you in the next one. See you later.